All About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds all the time.
What's up, everybody? We're here to talk some birds. Got a lot to talk about. We haven't seen you in a little bit here, so we've got a lot to go over, a lot to kind of dig into. Matt, we're going to talk a little bit sour subject here that last week there was a ton of the Jeff Stoutland. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into the new O-line coach. Kevin Patullo has moved on, so we'll get into that, where he's going. No, okay. And some other stuff, kind of mishmash stuff that we got going before we start getting into more of the offseason with free agency coming up and the draft coming up and how to improve the roster and stay or go free agents. We got a lot to get into in the upcoming weeks. So, but start off with the Jeff Stoutland news. He is no longer the offensive line coach for the Philadelphia Eagles. They have basically parted ways, basically on the philosophy change, and essentially he would have been answering to someone else, learning a different scheme, and just did not want to do that, which is understandable. My big thing is this. People asked for the change. They wanted a different offensive scheme. They wanted difference. They wanted all this stuff to change. Well, unfortunately, when you have that change, there are people that are going to be no longer with you on the staff. And Jeff Stoutland, unfortunately, is that. And like 13 years here, hell of a coach, developed great players in terms of Lane Johnson was here his whole tenure. Jordan Mailata, he developed Isaac Seumalo. Even, that's a guy that, you have to give him credit for developing. Jason Kelsey.
Nate Herbig. You can keep going. I mean, Tyler Steen, even for the most part. Jason Kelsey, I'm sure, gives a lot of credit to Stoutland. He also had Mudd, and did he have? I don't know if he had Castillo, but he had Mudd. And
no, he started with Mudd, and then Stoutland.
Mudd and Stout. So that's pretty sweet. But Stoutland was a mainstay here. He survived multiple regimes, which is why I think this was such a surprise, because he was so. It was almost thought of that his scheme or his technique transcended schemes, right? Because he survived with Chip, he survived with Doug, he survived with Nick, and it all worked. I think from everything that I've read and heard is that it was more about being demoted from the run game coordinator position, having to learn a new scheme, and it sounded like he resigned, and it wasn't necessarily the Eagles' decision. I don't think the Eagles handled it appropriately, is the other side of the story. But, I think it was more about him just saying, now's my time. I've put my time in. It sounds like they offered him the offensive line position and only the offensive line position. I don't know why he wouldn't take that. But the other thing is that they also have said, obviously through the media, he hasn't said it. I don't think the team has officially said it, but he will apparently be part of the organization in some way, shape, or form. I wonder if that will be as an assistant, as a consultant, as maybe a scout, maybe someone in the personnel, the front office. I don't know.
As long as, of course, you're going to have teams, knocking down his door and offering him a deal. That's just kind of, what we're going to, a guy like that getting out there, you're going to have that. So, you have that.
Patullo was part of the team, and we'll get into this, spoiler alert, but he was part of the team. He was retained. It was reported that he was retained and that he would be getting a different position. But they gave him permission to look elsewhere. So I would assume there would be something similar with Stout, but who knows? He's also an older guy, so he might just be like, I want to retire here. I put in my time. I've made enough money. I'm a Hall of Famer. I'm going to settle down with my wife and take a year to think about it. Who knows?
Which, brings us to the replacement, which was announced, I believe, a couple days ago. was Chris Kuper, who played in the NFL for, I believe, 7 or 8 seasons with the Denver Broncos. He played under legendary offensive line coach Mike Munchak. And he was an assistant with the Miami Dolphins, and then he was the offensive line coach for the last 4 seasons in Minnesota under Kevin O'Connell. And so the scheme fit is there. He was under the Sean McVay tree, if you want to call it, with the coaches he was with. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays, because I know a lot of the stuff talk around is how his offensive lines didn't, they weren't up to par. And, there's a lot to that. Of course, injuries, there's a lot, because the one thing that I'll say is, I know Jeff Stoutland was a decorated offensive line coach, but this past year, the Minnesota Vikings were so beat up. I think they had 46 or 47 offensive line combinations.
Yeah.
In 2020, the Eagles had a ton of offensive line combinations, and they were abysmal. So, and they had Jeff Stoutland as their offensive line coach. So, just because you have the top, if you're injured and that beat up, it's really not much you can do. And again,
not many teams have the depth to starter level depth like we had in 2017 or 2024, I guess you could technically say. I agree with you. I think a lot of what, and we're not just saying this because he's our coach now. We said it on the pod when we played them, they are beat up. There are things that we can take advantage of because they're beat up. So yeah, I agree with you. I think it's more about the lack of drafting, the focus on filling a lot of those holes in free agency rather than development, and then injuries on top of that.
So the one thing I wanted to bring up too, when you talk about the Minnesota Vikings, and when you look at their essential offensive line and kind of the way that they built their teams, and when you take a look at it, is back in 2022 was what his first year was. So they lost Mason Cole to the Steelers free agency. He was gone. And then who they signed was Chris Reed, who played with the Colts at guard. Jesse Davis was a backup offensive tackle for the Miami Dolphins. And then Austin Schlottman was an offensive lineman for Denver. So it's 3 signings. Yeah. And in the draft, they drafted a guard in the second round, pick 59, Ed Ingram at LSU, who did start for them, has played for them. Wow, looking at some of their drafts, it's terrible. And then in the 6th round, they drafted Darian Lowe, who then went over to the Patriots. Didn't really play with the Vikings, was traded over there. So that's 1 draft pick in the 2nd round. Okay, that's they had a couple signings and whatever it may be there. The next year, they had their draft was no offensive lineman. So they drafted zero offensive linemen in 2023.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this right now. I could tell you why the GM was fired when you take a look at these drafts.
Wow.
And then when you take a look at players added in 2024, Dan Feeney, who's a journeyman guard, who's a free agent now, was signed. And then when you look at the draft in 2024,
Will Fries as well, and what's his name? Dalton Reisner, right? Wasn't he also?
That was this year.
Right.
This is 2024. They had Michael Juergens was their 7th round pick, center, and offensive tackle in the 6th round, Walter Rouse. So, and then this past year in 2025, like you had mentioned, what they did, and then in the draft though, they did go ahead and they traded Ed Ingram to the Texans, but he did play for them a little bit. But in the draft, Donovan Jackson, the guard, they drafted with the 24th overall pick, and that's it. So in that span of 4 years, they drafted 2 offensive line, 2 guards in the 1st and 2nd round. That's it. All the other guys were late 6th and 7th round linemen. That's not the way the Eagles operate. So he's going to be getting.
Oh, that's not the way good teams operate.
True, but he's going to be getting the building blocks to be able to. The Eagles are going to be able to draft. Like, I expect the Eagles to draft at least 1 to 2 offensive linemen within the first 3 rounds, the first 4 rounds. You're going to see them put their chips there, and I wouldn't be surprised if they still have some young guys with Cam Jurgens and Tyler Steen, and then you still have the veterans like Mailata and hopefully Lane Johnson and Landon Dickerson. Again, we will see what kind of goes with that, but the Eagles are going to put the resources in the offensive line.
Yeah.
So they're going to give him the quality players to be able to work with. Plus, it's going to be interesting to see how the guys the Eagles drafted last year, how they fit into this with, Cam Williams and Miles Hinton. You're going to look into
Kendall.
You're going to look at all these guys and see how they fit into the scheme of things, because, again, it's a different scheme. It's a different philosophy, a different system. So, again, all that comes into play as well.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it'll be interesting to see. I think a big tell will be like OTAs once he gets a chance to get his hands on these guys and their athleticism. The good news is that we typically draft athletic offensive line. So I think, again, they can transcend the schemes. Like Dickerson is really good on the move. Lane is one of the most athletic players in the NFL. Jurgens might actually thrive in this kind of scheme. Like, we might see a revival because of this. Mailata is uber athletic. You have little guys like, is it Lampkin? I never.
That's true. I forgot. Yeah, Lampkin too would be. It's going to be interesting to see with him too.
Drew Kendall was a really good athletic tester. So, I mean, that's the good news. Is I think we're pretty well positioned there. I think the team is probably, and again, we'll see how Kuper thinks about the team, but I think the front office is a little higher on the offensive line than we are as a fan base. How we talked about Cam Williams being a potential first-round pick this year if he had come out. So, like, they got ahead of it because he declared early, yada, yada, yada.
And when you look at the offensive tackle class,
it's not great.
Another year of him being, on a college team on Texas, being able to work his stock up. I wouldn't be surprised if, maybe not a first round pick, but potentially
probably late first round.
Yeah, probably into the second.
Yeah.
Maybe I was thinking second, third round, depending on the way teams valued him. But again, you got him so late last year to be able to develop him for a full year, get in your building, in your system. I know it's a different system now, but still, he's in your building. He's working his way, getting himself to kind of what he needs to be.
He's getting his body in shape, right? You're essentially getting a 3-round return on that. Let's say if you did at worst go in the 3rd round. The other thing I want to say about Kuper is he's also going to get he's going to get the resources from a draft perspective, from free agency. He's getting one of the most athletic and elite offensive lines when healthy. But he's also getting a training staff that he never had.
Yeah.
Like the training staff
Very
here,
true.
Unbelievable. So big shoes to fill. And I don't think, like, regardless of how we play, I think he's going to get unfair criticism, but I'm cautiously optimistic.
Speaking of big shoes to fill, Kevin Patullo now is no longer on Philadelphia Eagles staff. He is going to be the pass game coordinator for the Miami Dolphins. Same position, I guess he was in before he was offensive coordinator. He took in Miami, so he has that role for him. Good for him. I just thought maybe it would have been best for him to move on, which he is doing. So I think it's a good thing for him.
Sure. Like I'm not losing sleep over Patullo. I'm sure he's a nice guy. It sounds like he's well respected when he's not an offensive coordinator. But it is what
you are
is.
losing sleep on Hold on.
Oh, there's your little guy, your little colonial washing machine. Should we just let it play?
I like it. What?
We're just gonna let it play. For those who maybe can't hear it, Johnny's dishwasher washing machine plays a little tune from colonial times. It's very nice.
I think it's awesome. So as we got that out of the way, I saw it counting down. I'm like, it's gonna happen.
You know what I mean?
So the other moves that were made, well, not really made, but Jamal Singleton is staying as running backs coach.
I don't hate it.
The wide receivers coach Aaron Moorhead will still be on staff, which I thought was surprising. I thought they would have moved on from him, but he's going to be staying on staff. A couple of the other guys are going to be staying positions not known yet. So they're just going to jumble up some of the positions, everything like that. Jason Michael, the tight ends coach, is no longer there because the Eagles did hire Ryan Mahaffrey. So he's going to be the new tight ends and run game coordinator. So
he was, correct me if I'm wrong, he was a fullback in the league, right? Mahaffrey?
Yeah, number 47 for the Colts, I believe.
Yeah.
Played on Peyton Manning's Colts teams.
Yeah. He's a big boy, 6'2", 255. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
That's a big fullback. He played for the Colts in 2011. He played for the Ravens in 2011. And he played with the Dolphins in 2012. He was primarily a practice squad guy, it looks like.
Yeah.
But still, like, is this the return of the fullback? Like, I know we have some fullback-like players, like a Latu, and like they wanted DBS to be. We signed Carson Steele, but like there's some good fullbacks coming out. Like you got CJ Webb from the Vikings, who Kuper and Mannion are familiar with. You've got a guy like Ricard from the Ravens, who is essentially an offensive guard.
So I think they're going to do a lot of things. I'm not sure how much of the fullback aspect of it, but you're going to see a lot because you saw a lot with Green Bay was, of course, with Minnesota, you saw the fullback and everything.
Yeah.
But with Green Bay, you would see a lot of the tight end coming into motion in the fullback position, going out in the flat, doing different stuff like that, which I could see Cam Latu doing. So it's going to be very interesting. And to me, I'm so intrigued to see how it's going to be because it's going to be, to my opinion, it's going to be different. With what they're doing, they're changing their philosophies. Now, will they still sprinkle in a little bit of what they've done? Still, I would expect that, yes, but there's going to be differences in there. So it's going to be interesting to what they do. And again, they still need a quarterback coach, so we'll be getting that probably coming soon.
Did we get an announcement that Leffler's out?
So
I thought I saw that he might be staying. So
it was originally said that he was not staying, but then now it's kind of up in the air on is he staying? Is he going to be a different position? Is he going to be a senior offensive something, or is he going to be the court? So
I would love to see him stay as the quarterback coach to at least give some continuity.
Yeah,
in that room.
But again, I wouldn't be surprised if Mannion brings Greg Olson, who was with him, and he's a decorated quarterbacks coach. To me, he would be my number one guy. 1,000. If he's not there, let Loeffler stay the quarterback coach.
100% agree, and I was going to bring that up too. I mean, he was there was at one point during the season where they were talking about him as potentially getting a head coach job. Olsen.
Yeah.
As the offense coordinator for the Raiders.
Yeah, so when they fired Chip Kelly, he became the offensive coordinator then. And with Kubiak coming in, I believe he was not going to be staying on that staff. So he's available. So with him and Mannion having ties together, and he's a veteran voice. He's been in the league so many years, kind of gives you that veteran voice in the offensive room.
The adult in the room.
The adult in the room. But
for real.
He's been an offensive coordinator in multiple stops. So it's, you also have someone that's done that. He's done, like, he knows what he's doing. So
football coach. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You just see pictures of him, and you're like, "Nah, that's
a football coach.
He's seen some shit." Yeah.
So,
well,
it's going to be interesting to see.
Has there been any movement on the defensive side? Like we really only have the departure of Christian Parker. It doesn't sound like he has poached anybody from the Eagles staff, which is kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, I don't see anything with that. What's Clint hurt? And there's a lot that's what's going to happen. You don't want to lose anyone else right now, especially with.
We're talking about coaching rumors and stuff like that. One of the interesting things that came out recently was that Jim Schwartz reached out to the Eagles when Fangio was rumored to be retiring, which again, we told you about. Then Fangio comes back. Schwartz tells the Browns to shove it and then decides that he's going to take a year off. And the rumor now, and again, I don't know how good this intel is, but the rumor is that he might have a little sweetheart deal with the Eagles for when Fangio retires to come back as the new defensive coordinator, which I think is really smart by Schwartz and the Eagles to do, or at least explore and have that conversation and have a contingency if Fangio really is going to be a year guy like he was this year.
You wouldn't have any type of with the scheme differences. You wouldn't be
you would
a little bit leery of it.
You would have some differences, obviously. I don't know. The only concern I have from a Schwartz to or a Fangio to Schwartz deal would be who are the safeties, right? The safeties are a little less important in a Schwartz scheme, so that's not really a concern. What do you do with Coop? Right? Yeah. Does Coop go to your? And we're putting the cart before the horse here, but does Coop then move to safety and become your Malcolm Jenkins? Does Jalix Hunt? Did Jalix Hunt and Nolan Smith, do they thrive in that? I think they might. As a wide nine. It's good. Wide nine, you rely on speed and you're just attacking the quarterback when you're Schwartz. So Jalen Phillips, if he comes back, might even thrive in that kind of role. So I don't know.
It's something that is interesting to think about.
Didn't mean to derail. I just thought that was a really interesting little tidbit and rumor that's out there right now.
And again, it's an interesting aspect.
Yeah,
it's interesting looking at the numbers with Cleveland and with Schwartz's defense. A 28% blitz rate, which was top half of the league. Which with the Eagles, yeah, I thought that was interesting too. But but
who's his secondary and because Newsom was traded, right?
Well, Denzel
Ward was out for a majority of the year, if I'm remembering correctly. Delpit was banged up. You had I couldn't even tell you who their linebackers are. And then you have Myles Garrett. Can you tell me who the opposite edge rusher is from Garrett?
Wasn't it Alex Wright, former Eagle?
Sure. You know what I mean? That's kind of the point. Is it's not. I feel like that's probably skewed because of the personnel that he had, not necessarily because he's a changed man, right? His philosophy is get home with 4, and that's Fangio is the same way.
Well, in 2024, he was. Let's see where his where his blitz percentage was. Blitz percentage in 2024, 26.4%, top half of the league.
But again, look at his personnel. You're talking about the Browns. Look at his blitz rate when he was with the Eagles, when he had a rotation of Brandon Graham and Derek Barnett and Chris Long and those guys. Look at those stats.
Now, the one thing I do like to see, though, with his defenses is the completion percentage for his defenses. Last year was, I think, 63%. The year before that was 61%. Like it's low. So now they did give up some yards. Now, again, you got to look at it as a whole, because when you take a look at the Cleveland Browns, they had no offense.
Yeah.
They were a struggling football team. When you're put on the field, especially last year, when you're put on the field time and time again, because you're strutting out guys who aren't very good, and your defense is getting thrown out there and thrown out there and thrown out there.
Look at the 23 Eagles. They played like 95 snaps a game.
Yeah.
Which is insane. That's like Chip Kelly numbers.
Mm-hmm. But again, in 2023, he was number 1 in completion percentage allowed, 57.4%. So he's a hell of a defensive coordinator. We know that. Eagles won a Super Bowl with him as the defensive coordinator. So
again, we're getting way ahead of ourselves here. But
that's what it's about. It's about to think about the future and whatever that will entail.
And move, though. Is that not like the most Howie thing ever? Like, I
would agree with you there. Just to looking at it, we got so much coming up in the offseason here. We're gonna talk about the Eagles Stay or Go free agents coming up here, and then a couple episodes here. These next couple episodes that are coming up, we got to talk about the free agent class itself, the draft, some mock draft stuff. Maybe next episode we'll go over a mock draft and kind of dig into it, kind of see where the fits are on the roster and the team. And we never know, we may have some more news to dive into as well. But with that, I want to thank everybody for joining us. I know it's a little bit off kilter here. I thinking maybe the Wednesday thing, maybe for right now, because with free agency coming and everything, it's probably best to do that instead of waiting. So we will be back and breaking it all down. But I want to appreciate everyone. Make sure that you're subscribing. Make sure that you are hitting the like, retweet button, all that stuff, getting all your content. Hit the link tree. Make sure that you're tuned into everything that we're doing. Got a lot of fun stuff planned. Got some cool stuff.
I would say, continue, and we say this all the time, continue to reach out to us, continue to throw suggestions. If there's something that you want to see that you think would be cool in the off season, like there's this GM tool where you can go through and you can make cuts and you can restructure deals and you can sign free agents. Like you can play the GM. That might be a fun thing to do. Or if you guys want to see a mock draft, or, if you want us to do film breakdowns on, certain players or something, like we'd love to do that. So just, come to us with suggestions. Let us know what you guys want to see and we'll see if we can work it in. Yeah.
It's going to be a fun off season, as it always is. But with that, as we always do it, we always end it with Go Bird.
This is Matt Ware. Hey, for all the Eagle content you need, go follow All About the Birds. They do a damn thing. Check them out.
Hey, Eagles fans, I may be in Tampa, but I know where to find the best Eagles content out there. Check out my friends at All About the Birds.
Philadelphia, what's up? This your boy Freddie Mitchell, a.k.a. Fred X. It's all about the bird.
All birds all the time. All birds all the time.
All About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds all the time.